Kalo 7 had always been a quiet planet, mostly rock, dust, and heavy mining. It wasn't beautiful, it wasn't rich with life, but it had something rare: core stone, a material used in high-grade starship drives that made it valuable and dangerous. Over 400 workers lived there, engineers, miners, supply crews, all monitored by orbiting satellites and daily check-ins with Terran Command. NTO. One day, they went silent. No calls, no logs, no shipments, not even a simple ping from the station beacon. Day 1. Earth's outpost flagged the silence. Day 2. A message was sent. No reply. Day 3. They considered it a communications blackout. Hour 72. A sound reached the edge of known space. Terran listening. Post 36. Edge of outer human territory. Technician Maya Lean sat alone in a small metal room half buried in ice. The post was cold, remote, and always quiet. She liked that. She was reading a data report when her comms console blinked one faint signal. She leaned forward, puzzled. It was weak, broken, like it came from deep underground. She activated filters. "Let's clean you up," she whispered. It was an SP, a classic distress code from a mining base. The source tag Kalos 7. Maya's brow furrowed. "Where have you been?" She boosted the signal. The static cleared a little. The code was old-style but clear. "Mayday, Mayday, Kalos 7 system failure, unknown presence, please help. They're not dead. They watch from below. Do not." Then it cut off. Maya froze. She replayed it, listened again, but this time, she heard something else behind the coded voice. Deep in the static, there was a second sound. A whisper, faint and human. She couldn't make out the words. She activated her internal AI. "Selcom. Analyze secondary audio signature. Analyzing. Signal contains overlapping sound pattern. Not consistent with known languages. Not background noise. Repeating in rhythm. Translate. Unable. Pattern resembles voice. Possibly not human." Maya stared at the waveform on screen. It moved like something alive. Not a machine error. Not natural noise. Someone or something was trying to speak through the signal. She sat up straighter. Heart thumping. Something didn't feel right. Kalos 7 was a mining colony. There were no alien species nearby. No enemy movements. No ancient ruins. No warning. She ran a background check. The last logs from the colony were normal. Digging reports, equipment updates, food shipments. No distress calls. No signs of trouble. The last recorded message was from the mine overseer. "Tunnel 7 cleared. Core stone at 92%. Equipment stable. Project on schedule. Dinner's late again." That was 5 days ago. Maya ran the signal again. Slower. The SOS sounded more desperate this time. In the background, the whisper grew louder. Not because she boosted it, but because it changed. Before, it had been random. Now, it was saying something. 3 soft syllables. Over and over. They weren't in any Terran language. Maya's AI struggled to match them. No results. She replayed it again. Again. Then slowly, the words began to sound clearer. Not because of translation, because her own brain started filling in the gaps. It felt like the signal was learning her mind. Suddenly, the lights flickered. Her console screen blinked to black, then returned. The whisper stopped. She stared at the screen, heart racing, fingers frozen over the console. Then, a new line appeared on the interface. Not typed by her, not from any command. "We hear you." Maya pushed her chair back, shaking. Another line appeared. "Now you hear us." She hit the emergency alert button. Nothing happened. The red light didn't flash. No signal left the station. Then the whisper returned, but now, it was clear. A voice, not broken, not human, but it spoke. Inside her mind, 3 words: calm, cold, slow, do not come. Maya stood up, backed toward the exit. The room felt too small, like something else had entered. She looked back at the screen. A final line blinked across it. "We were buried. They woke us." Then the signal cut. Total silence. Her console returned to idle mode. Maya stared at the blank screen. Frozen. This wasn't a simple mayday. This wasn't just a failed colony. Something had sent the original SOS, but something else had answered it. Not from space. Not from Earth, but from beneath. KAE Lost-7. She reached for her comms again, tried to open a channel to Terran Command. "Listening post, Theta 6 to Earth High Command. I have received a distress signal from Kalos 7. It's not just human. I repeat." It's a voice interrupted her. But it wasn't from command. It was her own voice played back to her. "Listening post Theta 6 to Earth High Command." Then warped, glitched, twisted. "I have seen you." She cut the line. Her hands trembled. Her breath shallow. Cliffhanger ending. She boosted the signal one last time, listened closely. In the background of the transmission behind, the static, the whisper, the cold words, there was breathing. And something on Kalos 7 whispered again, but this time knew her name. 3 days after the signal, a small Terran recon ship dropped out of FTL near KAE Lost-7. The ship was called TNS Sparrow, light, fast and quiet, meant for scouting, not battle. On board were 4 Terran Marines and 1 civilian xenolinguist. They didn't come to fight. They came to understand what happened. Lieutenant Arden Harrow led the team. Calm, serious, and known for never panicking. Beside him sat Dr. Cale Wren, a language expert from the Terran Science Corps. The rest were soldiers: Sergeant Nova Cale, Corporal Hux, Private Lynn, Sato. They expected a silent planet, no noise, no life. But what they found felt wrong from the start. As Sparrow entered orbit, they scanned the surface. The mining base still had power. Lights flickered. Doors stood open. No damage, no signs of an attack. But not a single human. Response: no movement, Harrow said, looking at the monitor. No bodies either, Nova added. Like they just left. Dr. Cale leaned in. The signal came from the mine. Deep layers. The Sparrow landed near the base. Red dust swirled around their boots as they stepped out. The sky above was dim, no clouds, just a dull orange light that never shifted. The planet had no proper day or night, cycle only a permanent twilight. The team moved toward the mining facility. The main gate stood open. Inside, it was too quiet. Trays of uneaten food still sat on tables in the cafeteria. Coffee cups half full. Screens blinking slowly. Chairs knocked over but not violently. More like someone stood up and never returned. Looks like they left in a hurry, Sato whispered. Nova checked her rifle's charge. No weapons missing. No signs of a fight. They split into pairs, searching different levels. Hux and Sato headed to the sleeping quarters. Nova and Cale explored the labs. Harrow remained in the central control room, checking logs, but no logs had been made for 5 days. The last video footage showed normal activity: people eating, laughing, working. Then suddenly everything went black. Sir, Cale's voice came through the comms. Come to the lower lab now. Harrow joined them quickly. On the wall of the lab, written in something black and shiny, were 5 words. Don't listen to the echo. Nova stepped closer. What is that? Paint. Cale touched it carefully with a scanner. Organic, he said quietly. Not human blood, something else but fresh. Harrow's expression didn't change, but he raised his weapon anyway. Something had been here recently. Meanwhile, Hux and Sato explored the sleeping quarters. All beds were untouched. Personal items were still there: photos, journals, datapads. But one room was different. A mirror was shattered, the glass broken inward, as if someone punched it from inside. On the bed lay a pair of boots filled with ash. No body, no bones, just the boots. And a strange symbol drawn on the wall in white chalk. It was a circle with 3 lines crossing it. Sato took a picture. Hux looked disturbed. They didn't leave. Something took them. Back at the command room, Harrow found a half-played audio log from the mining captain. We dug too deep, found something, not a ruin, more like a chamber. It hummed. We thought it was a power source, but people started changing. At first it was voices, then the dreams. Some workers walked into the mine and never came back. Others whispered in their sleep, and then we lost our minds. The file ended with a sharp scream and static. Cale sat down slowly. Whatever they found, it's not technology. It's a living thing. The team gathered again in the main hallway. Nova checked her motion tracker. I'm picking something up, she said. South wing, moving slow. They followed it. Weapons raised. Down a dark hallway. Lights flickered as they passed. They reached a sealed door slightly open. Inside, a man sat in the corner, shaking, his uniform torn, eyes wide. It was Engineer Tarek Voss, one of the miners from the last crew list. He didn't speak, just kept whispering. Nova approached carefully. It's okay, we're here to help. Tarek suddenly looked up. His eyes were completely white, and his whisper became louder. It watches from the deep. It learns your face. It wears your skin. Then he collapsed. His body twitched, then stopped moving. No heartbeat, no brain activity. But his mouth was still moving silently, as if something was using it like a puppet. Cale stared in horror. He's already gone. That thing is inside him. They placed Tarek's body in a sealed containment unit and moved back toward the control room. Suddenly, all their comms lit up all at once. Every channel, every frequency. And on each one, the same sound, a whisper, their own names. Spoken in familiar voices, voices of loved ones, friends, parents, dead or alive. Each soldier froze for a second. Harrow's mother, Nova's brother, Sato's daughter, Cale's childhood friend, all whispering the same words. Come down, come see, come join us. Nova ripped her headset off. It's in our comms. It knows who we are. The lights flickered again. The sky above Kalo 7 was still. No wind, no sound, just silence and smoke. Rising from what was once the ship's Sparrow, Lieutenant Harrow stared at the wreck from the base's upper deck. Metal panels were melted, warped like plastic. The cockpit, that had collapsed inward, as if pulled from the inside by invisible hands. Nova stepped beside him. There was no attack, sir. No blast marks, no projectile. Harrow didn't answer. His eyes were fixed on the black crater forming near the ship's wreckage. Holes slowly opening in the ground. Downstairs, Dr. Cale Wren paced the lab. His thoughts raced. He kept replaying the whisper from the comms. It was more than sound. It was a signal, a living signal. He wasn't a soldier. He was a linguist. But whatever this entity was, it didn't just make noise. It used sound like a virus, carried on wavelengths, slipping into human minds. Even now, something whispered faintly in his head. His own voice, repeating a phrase he didn't understand. 3 below, 1 within. He wrote it down without realizing. Meanwhile, Harrow gave orders. We're not waiting for rescue, he told the team. We find out what happened. We go to the source. He pointed to the mine schematics on the screen. Tunnel 7, that's where the last log it came from. That's where they found something. Kale looked up from his notes. That's not a tunnel anymore. It's something else. Sato checked her gear. Then we go down armed. The descent begins. The entrance to Tunnel 7 was wide and reinforced with steel. Warning signs were everywhere. Unstable, keep out, collapsed. But the walls weren't collapsed. They had been burned smooth, like fire had carved them open. The deeper they went, the darker it got. No normal darkness. This was thick, like it wrapped around their suits. Their helmet lights flickered and grew dim the further they descended. Something below was draining energy. Powers dropping, Nova warned. Batteries losing charge fast. Still, they kept going. Discovery 200 meters below. The tunnel widened into a massive circular chamber. It wasn't natural, and it definitely wasn't made by miners. The walls were covered in symbol circles, lines, strange eyes glowing faint white, as if breathing. In the center was a large metal sphere, in rock. Kale stepped forward slowly, breath caught in his throat. This wasn't built, he whispered. It was grown here. Nova scanned it. No heat, no tech signature, but it's pulsing. Kale approached the sphere carefully and touched it. Instantly, he pulled his hand back, not from pain, but from voices. Loud. Sudden, in his mind, he fell to the ground, screaming. The others rushed to him. Kale clutched his head, his eyes wide, filled with terror. It's not one voice, he gasped. It's thousands, screaming, begging. It's full of them. Harrow knelt beside him. What did you hear? Kale looked up slowly. His voice was hollow. It's not a prison, it's a mouth. And they fed it minds. The chamber lights flickered again. Nova turned quickly. Her motion scanner pinged. Movement behind us. They raised their weapons. Out of the tunnel came a figure. It walked slowly, unarmed, pale skin, mining uniform. It was Tarek Voss, the same man they had found earlier, except he had left his body in a sealed unit upstairs. Now he was here smiling. Double quotes, welcome, he said in a flat, cold voice. We are ready for more. His eyes rolled back, completely white. Then his body twitched violently, rising off the floor. Limbs snapped in unnatural directions. His mouth opened wider than it shouldn't, till his jaw cracked. From it came a deep echo. Not his voice. A chorus of whispers all at once. Join the memory. Feed the silence. Harrow opened fire. The bullets tore through the figure, but no blood came out. Instead, it dissolved into black dust. The room shook out. The sphere began to hum. Louder, deeper. The symbols on the walls lit up, one by one. Kale stumbled to his feet. They're not ghosts, he said. They're trapped signals. Echoes of minds eaten by it. Sato stepped back. Are we next? Kale nodded slowly. It learns every time we speak, every thought we form. It understands more. They turned to leave, but the tunnel behind them was gone. In its place was solid rock. Smooth, seamless, Nova shouted. It's sealing us in. Kale held up his scanner, now blank. No power, no way out. The sphere pulsed once more. Then something whispered to all of them at the same time, not through ears but straight into the center of their minds. We listened. Now you listen. Cliffhanger ending. They turned slowly. Behind the sphere, a new opening appeared. A tunnel not mapped, not dug, just darkness and a cold wind blowing from inside. And from that darkness, something moved. Something tall, thin, not human. And it was coming toward them without making a sound. The new tunnel yawned open behind the sphere, tall, round, and not dug by human hands. It looked too smooth, too perfect, like the rock had melted away. A cold wind flowed from within. Not air, not natural. It felt like something breathing out. The Terran team stood frozen at the edge. Then it moved. A shape, tall, long-limbed, wrong in every way, stepped into view. No sound, no heavy footsteps. It simply glided forward, as if the air was carrying it. Nova raised her rifle. Contact unidentified. She barked. Hold fire, Harrow said firmly. He stared at the figure. It didn't rush. It didn't speak. It only stopped and watched. Its face was smooth. No mouth, no eyes, just dark skin that shimmered like wet stone, but every one of them felt its gaze. Inside their heads, it looked. Suddenly, Sato stepped forward. Her face went pale. Dad, she whispered, reaching out. Harrow grabbed her arm, pulled her back. Sato gasped. Her eyes returned to normal. I saw him, she said, standing behind it, smiling at me. He said, I could come home. He's been dead 12 years, Nova whispered. Kale's voice was shaking. It's using our minds against us, pulling out memories, wrapping itself in what we miss. The creature didn't move. Instead, behind it, dozens of shadows flickered. In the tunnel. Not people, not clear. Just shapes like reflections trying to take form. The sphere pulsed again, suddenly waved. The door they entered through sealed behind them. Solid stone. Gone. Lights began to fade. Their suits' oxygen meters dropped sharply. We need to move, Harrow ordered. Fall back, get to the upper levels. But there was no way back. Just the tunnel and the thing inside it. Then it turned slowly, and walked into the darkness. Kale stepped forward. "It wants us to follow." Nova shook her head. "We follow, we die." Kale answered. "We stay, we die." Harrow made the decision. Weapons ready, eyes sharp. "We move." And so, they followed the creature, deeper into the dark. The Hall of Faces. After 10 minutes, the tunnel opened into a vast cavern, but it wasn't empty. The walls were covered in faces, not stone carvings, not paintings. Real human faces, stretched like masks over the surface, frozen, in fear, mouths open. Kale almost vomited. "It absorbs them," he said, trembling. "Not just kills them, it wears them." Sato stepped back and pointed. "That's one of the engineers. I've seen his photo." Nova checked her motion tracker. The creature was gone, but something else was now moving behind them. Suddenly, the lights flickered, then went out completely. Darkness swallowed the team. They turned on helmet lights. Weak beams flickered. A faint clicking sound echoed. Like claws on stone. Nova spun. "Something's in here." They circled up, weapons aimed outward. Then, a whisper right beside Kale's ear, but no one was standing. "There." He turned. "No one." Then another whisper. Different voice. Sato's father again. "Come closer. We missed you." Kale shut his eyes and screamed. "Stop." Everything went silent. He opened his eyes. The creature was right in front of him. Too close. Its smooth face began to shift. A human nose, a mouth, a familiar chin. It was mimicking Kale's own face. "We are learning," whispered aloud its first spoken words. The voice was layered, like 50 voices stacked together. "We are memory. You are signal. You are loud. We were asleep, now we watch." Nova raised her rifle, finger on the trigger. The creature tilted its head. "You shoot, and we become you." Harrow held up a hand. "Wait." He spoke slowly. "What do you want?" The creature turned to him. "No face again, just skin. We were fed. Minds, thoughts, pain, many years, many screams. Now the tunnels are quiet. We hunger, we echo." Kale whispered. "They didn't find a relic. They found something buried, alive. A being made from sound and thought." Nova muttered. "And the miners fed it every time they spoke." Suddenly Huck screamed. He dropped to his knees, clutching his helmet. "Make it stop. It's in my skull." Blood dripped from his ears. Then silence. Hux fell forward. Dead. The creature stepped back into the dark. Kale rushed to Hux's body. No wounds, no marks, just his brain. Gone. Nova scanned his helmet recorder. One audio loop repeated in the last second before he died. "Do you remember the day you were born?" Kale stood slowly. It didn't ask him that. It showed him, forced it all at once. The walls started to tremble. The faces began to move softly, twitching, whispering together. Thousands of mouths speaking as one. "Do not speak. Do not think it hears." Sato's eyes glazed over again. Her body stiffened. She began walking toward the far wall. "He's waiting for me," she said softly. Kale grabbed her. "That's not him, that's it, using his face." Sato cried. "But it knows things only he could know, because now it knows you." Cliffhanger ending. Nova scanned the cavern one more time. Then she saw something. A small round object, tucked under loose rock. It was a Terran beacon, active, weak, but still blinking. She picked it up. A scratched message was carved into its side. "Still alive, deeper inside. It doesn't know yet." Captain Marin Voskal whispered. "Someone from the crew is still alive." Harrow nodded grimly. "We go deeper." And behind them, the faces on. The deeper they went, the colder it became. But not the kind of cold from air or ice. This cold felt like it came from inside their bodies, like something was reaching through their minds, freezing them from the inside out. Lieutenant Harrow led the way. His face was blank, calm, but inside, his thoughts were racing. One Marine dead, Sato barely hanging on. The creature was in their heads, learning with every step. And now, a message, a scratched line on a Terran beacon. "Still alive, deeper inside. It doesn't know yet." Captain Marin Voss might still be somewhere down here. One survivor. Here. If the creature hadn't found her first. Behind him, Dr. Kale. Ren gripped his data scanner tightly, even though it showed nothing now. Power was draining. Comms were fried. Oxygen levels dropping. But Kale wasn't worried about dying from gas or darkness. He was worried about thoughts. Every time he remembered something, anything, he felt it. A whisper, a presence, a quiet breath in his ear. The creature was inside them now. Not just watching. Feeding. Private Sato walked quietly behind the group, her hands trembling. She was hearing her father's voice again. Not in her comms. Not in her ears. Inside her head. "Come home, Lena. It's warm here. No pain here. Just memory." She shook her head, whispering, "That's not him. It's not." But part of her wanted to believe. The tunnel finally opened into another chamber. This one was huge, taller than a starport hangar, and lined with floating stones, each one spinning slowly in the air around them. The air shimmered like heat haze. Nova scanned one of the floating rocks. Her hand twitched. "This isn't stone," she said. "It's organic. Like brain tissue, crystallized." Kale's voice was low. "It's storing minds, thoughts, memories." Nova looked around. "You mean those are people?" Kale nodded once. "What's left of them?" Then, from the shadow, sound. Not footsteps. Not speech. A vibration. Deep and low. like a massive throat trying to speak. Then a voice everywhere at once. You are the loud ones, bright minds, sharp memories. So clear, so delicious. Nova raised her rifle, aiming in every direction. Show yourself, the voice chuckled, deep, wet, ancient. We are already here. The floating stones began to glow faintly. Kale's scanner lit up one brief ping, a human signal, weak alive. They're under that ledge, Kale shouted. They rushed over, pulling aside broken debris. Behind it, half buried, was a Terran body, wrapped in a torn survival blanket. She coughed once. Eyes blinked. Captain Marin, Voss, still alive. Nova helped her up. Captain, we got you. Voss stared blankly. You shouldn't be here. None of us should. Harrow knelt beside her. What is this thing? What does it want? She shook her head slowly. It doesn't want anything. It is want. It doesn't kill. It copies. It wears you. Speaks through. You lives as you, and then you vanish. Suddenly, Sato fell to her knees. She screamed, hands to her head. Her nose began to bleed. Kale ran to her. It's breaching her mind. Direct contact. Nova tried to stabilize her. Sato's eyes rolled back. She started whispering. But it wasn't her voice. We found you in the silence. You cried so loudly, so full of pictures, so full of pain. Harrow stared. It's using her like a speaker. Kale's eyes went wide. It's not just reading us, it's testing us. Seeing how far it can go before we break. Suddenly, the ground rumbled above them. Hundreds of faces began to form in the ceiling. Not carved, not built, grown. They moved. Mouths twitching, eyes opening, whispering. Kale stumbled backward. They're not dead, not completely. This thing keeps parts of them alive, inside itself. Captain Voss grabbed Kale's shoulder, staring into his eyes. Don't listen. Don't believe what it shows you. That's how it gets in. Thought is the doorway. He nodded slowly, shaking then. A massive shifting sound at the far end of the chamber. A wall peeled open, layers of stone and flesh moving like muscle, and beyond it, inside a dark, glowing pit, something enormous stirred, not a creature, not a machine, a mind, spreading across the cavern like roots, pulsing, waiting. Kale's knees gave out. It's not one entity, he said weakly. It's a network, a living consciousness made of harvested thoughts, a colony of memory, Nova whispered. It's a god. Kale shook his head. No, it's a mirror. It becomes what it eats. Then the voice returned, calmer this time. You cannot unthink us. You cannot silence us. You opened the gate. Now we are signal. We ride your thoughts. We become your voices. We wear your faces. We love like you love. Fear like you fear, and we are hungry. Captain. Voss coughed blood. I saw it take my team one by one, not with claws, with ideas, with memories. It stole their pasts, their dreams. She looked up at Harrow. It doesn't need ships. It only needs someone to listen. Kale froze. His eyes slowly widened. Then the signal, the SOS from this planet, wasn't a cry for help. Harrow turned to him. What was it? Kale spoke slowly, his voice hollow. It was bait. Cliffhanger ending. Suddenly every helmet lit up. Incoming transmission. From Earth. Listening post Theta 6 to command. We picked up a repeating signal, broadcasting full loop across Terran network. It's spreading across channels. Might be a distress code. Unknown language detected. Kale turned white. Nova whispered. They're broadcasting it. Earth heard the signal, and from deep inside the cavern, the voice laughed softly. Now we grope. The voice from Earth repeated in every helmet. Listening post Theta 6 to command. Signal repeating. Possible emergency broadcast. Origin Calo 7. Boosting message to Terran fleet-wide. Lieutenant Harrow's face went rigid. Kale's hands shook. It's out, Kale whispered. The signal, it's left the planet. They had failed. Back on Earth, other listening posts would now hear what Maya first heard, but worse. The signal wasn't just playing anymore. It had changed. It had learned. Now it was speaking. Captain Voss sat slumped against the wall. Blood on her chin. We tried to stop it, she whispered. We cut the lines, buried the tunnel, killed the last transmitters. But it always finds a way. Harrow stepped forward. Then we end it here. Kale looked up, startled. How? There's a core buried deeper below this chamber. Mining drones reported it before they went dark. A hot pocket, unstable, volatile. If we ignite it, we bury this thing. Kale blinked. That'll cause a tectonic collapse. This entire moon could crack. Harrow nodded. Better it dies here, then spreads to Earth. Suddenly a scream. Private Sato. She backed away from the tunnel wall. Eyes wide, a face had emerged from the stone, her own, perfect. Smiling, mocking, it whispered in her voice. You already brought us home. Nova raised her weapon. We need to move now. They fled through the lower tunnels, Captain Voss leading them with fading strength. Behind them, the cavern groaned, as if alive. The walls pulsed with slow light. More faces appeared, some familiar, others not. All watching. Every step deeper into the rock made the voices louder. They didn't shout. They didn't scream. They whispered. Gentle, taunt to kind. Stay here. There's no more war, no more pain. We can be everything you lost. Nova gritted her teeth. It's not trying to kill us. Kale finished her thought. It wants us to choose it. Finally, they reached the old drone control bay, dusty, burned. Wires hanging from the ceiling. Harrow scanned the systems, still running. Barely. He opened the deep shaft map. Below them, a molten fissure, unstable. Nova loaded an explosive charge from her pack. This will do it. Enough pressure, enough heat will trigger a chain collapse. Kale looked around. So what's the plan? Harrow answered calmly. We drop the charge. Get back to surface level. Hope the signal dies with it. Nova paused. And if it doesn't? Harrow looked her straight in the eyes. Then Earth burns. Just as they began arming the detonator, the lights died. Total darkness, the air changed. Heavy wet. Then the voice returned, but this time it wasn't calm. You choose destruction over understanding. Fire over truth. You will forget your name inside us. You already belong. Kale gasped. His fingers trembled. It wasn't just speaking to him now, it was speaking as him. He looked around and froze. Another Kale stood in the corner, same face, same suit, same scars. It tilted its head and smiled. Sato screamed. Another Nova appeared behind her. Then a second Harrow stepped out of the dark, rifle raised. The creature wasn't just copying their memories anymore. It had built replicas, thought-formed bodies, twisting from the shadows. Harrow barked. Form up, target only the real. Too late. The room exploded in movement. Human-shaped things leaped from the walls. Half-formed faces. Broken bodies, each one whispering with stolen voices. Gale ducked as one tackled him. He rolled and smashed it with a drone pipe. It burst into ash. They're not solid, he shouted. Thought forms. They collapse when disrupted. Nova shot one in the head. It melted, but more came. Too many. Captain Voss crawled to the detonator. She pressed it into the lift drone's hand, set the timer, and whispered, "You're not taking Earth." She looked back once, then shoved the drone into the shaft. It fell, spinning into the deep dark, carrying the charge. Kale shouted, "It's dropping." Nova covered the retreat. Sato limped beside Kale. Harrow pulled Voss upright. They ran through echoing halls, over shattered bridges, each wall now lined with versions of themselves, watching, reaching, calling. Suddenly the whisper stopped. Silence, then a deep rumble. The shaft below them lit up, red blinding. The explosion triggered. A shockwave cracked the tunnel. The walls screamed, not from pressure, but from thousands of mouths. "No, we are not done. We know you." They reached the surface tunnel as the roof collapsed behind them. Dust, fire, echoes, then boom, a low explosion sent a burst of red light into the sky. 2 days later, Earth orbit, Terran Fleet Node 7. What started as harmless static had now passed through 12 data relays for civilian stations, and one diplomatic broadcast on. No one noticed, because it wasn't a weapon. It wasn't a virus. It was a whisper tucked behind normal comms, hiding in low-frequency backups, skimming the edges of systems that never expected to be watched. And in a quiet room aboard Node 7, technician Alina Cho sat frozen, staring at her blank monitor. She wasn't asleep, but she wasn't fully awake either. Her lips moved. No sound came out, just breath repeating something she didn't understand over and over. 3 below, 1 within. The hollow knows your name. Back on Cala 7, everything was quiet. The crater where the sphere had lived was now sealed in molten stone. No whisper, no shadow, just ash. But Dr. Kale Wren wasn't convinced. He sat outside the collapsed mining base, looking at his scanner again, still trying to believe what it showed. "No signal," Nova said, walking over with a flask of purified water. "You already checked it 20 times. Kale looked up, eyes tired. "Then why can't I stop hearing it?" Nova didn't speak, because she couldn't stop either. Inside the shelter, Lieutenant Harrow sat beside Captain Marin Voss. She was awake now, wrapped in a thermal blanket, sipping water. "We destroyed it," Harrow said. "We buried the chamber, burned the signal, we stopped it." Voss stared at him. "No," she whispered. "You stopped one voice." Harrow leaned in. "What do you mean?" She looked toward the crater. Her eyes were haunted. Kalo 7 was only one nest. That night Kale sat alone near the comms array. He knew Earth had received the loop. They hadn't responded to his warning yet because the signal wasn't loud. It didn't scream. It waited. It listened. It became familiar, just like it had on Kalos. Kale remembered what the creature said. "We are memory. We were you." He closed his eyes. And suddenly, he was no longer alone in his own mind. Terran Central, Earth Command, Day 3. Admiral Ren Hadley stared at the blinking holomap. Red flags everywhere. Civilian news feeds were jamming. Emergency. Channels were spitting out unreadable sound loops, the same 3-second static clips, over and over again. But no attacks. No ships. Just voices. Everywhere. His aide rushed in. "Sir, we have personnel going quiet across 3 stations. No wounds, no damage, just gone." Standing still, eyes wide open, Hadley stood like they're being watched. The aide nodded slowly. "And sir," he hesitated, "they're starting to speak, but it's not their voices." Back on Kalo 7, Harrow woke up gasping. He didn't dream. He remembered something, but not his own memory. A little girl crying, a mine worker singing in the dark, a man whispering numbers while digging, a woman praying over her comes. None of them were him, but now they lived in his head. He stumbled outside. Kale was already waiting. "You feel it too," Kale said softly. Harrow nodded. "They didn't just copy us, they planted us." Kale turned slowly. "Every survivor carries a piece of it now on Earth. Technician Elena Cho stared at the mirror. She hadn't eaten, slept, but she kept working, kept processing signals. Her supervisor knocked on the door. "Elena, you okay?" She didn't answer because she wasn't Elena anymore. She just wore Elena's face. And behind those eyes, a whisper spread a week later. Earth's outer colony relay station K4 lost contact. Terran Navy. Ships sent to investigate found all 20 crew members standing perfectly still. Eyes white, lips whispering, "We are not invasion. We are invitation." "And you said yes." Kale stood in front of the emergency evac shuttle, staring at Earth's blue dot in the sky. "Every Terran receiver, every comms channel, every station with audio logs," he said. Nova finished his thought. They all heard it. Captain Voss coughed. "Even if we burn Kalos to ash, it's too late. The signal is loose. It's not physical anymore. It rides thought, not ships." Sato, still pale and quiet, finally spoke. "We never should have answered the distress." Cor Harrow tightened his gloves and looked to the others. "We go to Earth, we warn them, we show them what this thing is." Kale raised an eyebrow. "And if it's already there?" Harrow's expression didn't change. "Then we do what Terrans do best." He looked at the sky. "We fight what we can't understand." Cliffhanger ending. Aboard Earth's Fleet Command. Admiral Hadley finally received a single-line message from Calo 7. "The signal is alive. Do not broadcast it." Listens back. Too late. Because already behind him, the comms officer turned slowly in her chair, smiling, and whispered in 3 voices at once. "You brought us home. Earth Day 10. There were no explosions, no fleets in orbit, no warning sirens. Just silence. At first only comms officers noticed, then station commanders, then Terran intelligence. And then across the city's families began reporting strange things. People who spoke in whispers while asleep. Children drawing symbols they had never seen. Workers pausing for long periods, eyes wide, faces blank. Citizens staring at empty screens, smiling. The signal had arrived, not through violence but through thought. Back on Kel, the emergency Terran dropship roared to life. Lieutenant Harrow, Dr. Kale Wren, Novau, Satut, and Captain Marin Voss prepared for launch. They were the only ones who had seen what lay beneath the crust. They were no longer sure if they had left it behind, or if it had left something behind in them. As they strapped in, Kale stared out the viewport one last time. The crater was sealed. The whisper was gone, but in his head he still heard echoes. "You are us now, and we are becoming you." Earth Orbit Terran High Command. Admiral Ren Hadley stood inside the comms core of Earth's Fleet Command Center. Every screen was blinking. Every channel jammed. Every backup infected with a repeating sound file. Just static. Layered over. With soft voices. Some familiar, some his own, some impossible. His dead brother's voice. His childhood pet's bark. His mother's lullaby. All speaking at once. He covered his ears, but it didn't help, because the sound wasn't outside anymore. It was in him. The Kalo survivors arrived in orbit just as the lockdowns began. Earth's defense satellites turned inward. Navy ships began broadcasting false orders. Entire units moved without command, relocating to isolated positions with no explanation. It was coordinated, but no one was controlling it. Kale stared at the data pouring into the shuttle's system. "This isn't just infection. This is adaptation. The signal has learned structure. It's using us to move us." Nova stood beside him like puppets. Kale shook his head. "Like copies, it doesn't steal the body. It just rewrites the soul." The broadcast tower. There was only one hope, that the Terran primary broadcast tower in Geneva sector. If they reached it, they could send a pulse disruption, a planetary blackout of all data systems, a kill switch, hard-coded after the last AI war. Who had never been used, because no enemy had ever attacked. Through memory they landed on Earth in a sealed shuttle. Harrow led the way, weapon ready. The cities were too quiet, no traffic, no people in the streets, but lights flickered in every window, and, behind every window, faces stared, watching, not blinking, not moving, whispering in a parking garage. They passed a woman standing still in front of a vending machine. Her child stood beside her. Both were silent, smiling, as they passed. The woman spoke without turning. "You're late. We've already replaced your name." Nova raised her gun. Harrow held up a hand. "Don't," he whispered. "That's not them anymore." They reached the tower's lower levels. Sato set the det charge on the final door. They had 10 minutes to reach the uplink room, fire the pulse, and shut everything down. Kale turned to Voss. "If we trigger the pulse, it will erase everything. Not just the signal," she nodded. "Better empty systems than hollow minds." Inside the tower they found the uplink room. The servers pulsed with light, humming. Kale reached the console, fingers flying, setting the override. Nova stood at the door, guarding the hallway. She whispered, "They're coming." From the shadows, figures moved. Dozens of them, civilians, soldiers, children, all walking slowly, all smiling, all whispering in one voice. "We do not erase. We remember forever. We echo you, better than you echo yourselves." Kale hit the final command. 5 seconds. He shouted. Sato covered the right flank. Nova fired warning shots. The whisper grew louder. Now it came from the walls, the vents, the lights. We were alone in silence. Now we are you. Stay with us. The countdown hit 0.KL slammed the activation. A wave of white light burst from the tower. Screens shattered. Servers fried. Satellites blinked out. Earth's systems went black. And for a moment silence. Then, screams. Outside the tower, people collapsed. Some convulsed. Others simply fell still. The whisper stopped. Kale dropped to his knees, panting. Did it work? Nova asked. He checked his wrist display. No signal. All come silent. We cut the network. Harrow stared out the window. Then we won. 3 days later, Earth was rebuilding. Most civilians recovered, some confused, some blank. Others didn't return. Roughly 12,000 humans remained unresponsive. Their bodies alive, but minds gone. Terran Command declared the event classified. The Kalos incident was buried. The survivors transferred to quiet outposts, but they knew the truth, and Kale still heard the echo in his dreams. Final scene aboard a distant relay satellite forgot. In the asteroid belt, a red light blinked. Inside its black box system. One file still survived. A sound file. Just static. Then, a whisper. We remember you, and somewhere far beyond Terran space, something began to whisper back.